It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to Daytona International Speedway for the running of the 63rd Annual Daytona 500. In the race analysis, today's event will take place over the course of 80 laps around the 2.5-mile superspeedway here at Daytona International Speedway, with stage number 1 ending on lap 20 and stage 2 ending on lap 40. You will likely at least have to make one green flag pit stop in the final stage of today's race. Potentially because stages 1 and 2 are right on the length of possibly needing to make one fuel stop, you might see a couple cars come down pit road before the stage caution and try to leapfrog those who stay out and try to get front finishing positions in the first two stages. Hello everybody and welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series Ride-Along segment. Back in the Cup Series Ride-Along car for one last time here at Daytona, gearing up for the 63rd annual running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, our biggest race of the season, the Super Bowl to kick off the year. And I want to break down just a little bit about the yellow line situation that's been going on. So we had 3 wrecks so far over the course of Speed Weeks due to somebody dipping below that yellow line. It is still, in fact, legal to go down to the bottom to advance your position. However, I expect it to be much less of an issue during the long Daytona 500 because drivers are going to want to, keep their cars together for the full distance of the race. Biggest race of the year, you don't want to wreck early. You want to at least wreck knowing that you had a shot at the 500 victory. So honestly, I would expect a lot of drafting happening up towards the top of the racetrack in what we call trains, instead of the huge pack racing that we saw in both the truck race and the heats of both the Truck Series and the NASCAR Cup Series. I expect most of the field trying to get up to this top lane, try to get right up near the wall to try and build that momentum up on the outside line, because you can really build some high speeds if you commit to the top. Like I've been talking about all throughout Speed Weeks, very smooth surface. They repaved this track to begin the 2011 season, so just 10-year-old surface. There's the Juan Pablo Montoya patch where the entrance to turn number 3 burnt down in the 2012 running. That's the only part of the track that's a little bit inconsistent, but it's had 9 years of wear as of now. Coming back down to the start-finish line for a nice and clean lap on the oval. Let's see what our lap time was. A 50.940, and believe me, we're going to be seeing a lot of pushing and shoving near the end of today's race, going for the full prize of being a Great American Race winner, a Daytona 500 champion, and getting your name put into the record books. The starting grid for the Daytona 500 was set through 2 sessions ran last week during qualifying week, with Joey Logano earning the pole for the Daytona 500 as well as Chase Elliott earning the outside pole. Those were the 2 drivers who did not need to worry about the heat races ran last week and were automatically guaranteed a spot in and would hold their spot as long as they did not have to switch to a backup car for today's Daytona 500, which fortunately for Logano and Elliott, their primary car went all the way through the heats without significant damage. Then the 3rd place starter, Stephen Parsons, who incredibly won heat number 1 at Daytona. Brandon Jones, making his first start for Joe Gibbs Racing, won heat number 2 and will start in 4th. Then from there, we have 5th place Myatt Snyder, William Byron, Derek Cope, who is potentially in his final career start, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Norm Benning qualifying for his first Cup Series race since 1993 at Darlington, and then Timmy Hill rounding out the top 10 for Motorsports Business Management. And now let's get down trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, start your Nice and smooth. We'll see you there at the end. It's a long race. We just got to stay in contention. No mistakes. That's the big key. No mistakes today. We get up there. We get in the top 10. We ride. We ride. We ride. That's what we got to do today.
And there's the green flag for the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. There you see Snyder already take a look down to the inside of the 09 car of Stephen Parsons. Snyder does not have very much help down there. Outside line, the quickest line to form up. Elliott with some help coming from Brandon Jones. And Myatt Snyder is a bit of a sitting duck down there by himself. Down the backstretch. Brandon Jones, heat number 2 winner, giving Chase Elliott, the outside pole sitter, a very great shove. 9 car of Elliott has cleared the field. 20 car trying to do the same. Bit of a 4-wide move already being made by Brennan Poole. That's certainly going to bottleneck the field up, exiting turn number 4 at the start-finish line. Jones to the inside, but Chase Elliott will lead lap number 1 in the Daytona 500. Side by side, entering turn number 1. Hendrick cars lined up on the outside line. Brandon Jones practically out by himself. Byron and Elliott going to hook up down the backstretch. They even have an allied car with Hendrick Motorsports, the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., up on the top as well. So practically 3 Hendrick cars. Elliott easily clears the middle and inside lanes. And we will fall silent on lap number 3 in honor of 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Dale Earnhardt. Don't let one bad moment spoil a whole bunch of good ones. And you can see over the course of lap 3, the Hendrick cars were kind of working together. Elliott let Byron by. Byron cut right up in front of Elliott, and now they're tandeming just in reverse. Great teamwork by the Hendrick Motorsports cars, as on the inside line, you can see the 22 car of Logano still trying to build that run with some help coming from Myatt Snyder. Now here comes Elliott to the inside of Byron once again. Let's see if they'll be working together this time around. 9 car of Elliott doesn't have that much help, now getting a push coming from the 20 car of Brandon Jones. Exiting turn number 4, the 9 car's not quite clear of the 24. At the stripe, it's going to be a close race between teammates for the top spot. Give it to Byron to lead lap number 5. Entering turn 1, Byron getting the shove from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up on the outside line. Hendrick cars battling for the top spot in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano now getting a run on that inside line. Still being pushed by Myatt Snyder. Middle line starting to drop back. Looks like Byron has cleared the field. A great shove coming from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. There you see the 3rd car on the outside line. That is Derek Cope, the 1990 winner of this race. Elliott still trying to side draft the 47. Now it looks like he might be side drafting Derek Cope. As that outside line building fantastic momentum. Stenhouse to the inside. Side by side for the top spot. Entering turn number 1, that 47 car doesn't have that much help coming from Chase Elliott. Down the backstretch, Derek Cope pushing the 24 car of Byron. Well, that 98 car is a great pusher. He showed that in the heat races as well. 24 car Byron back out front. Looks like he has cleared the 47 of Stenhouse. Ricky trying to get a run on the exit of turn 4. He's got help coming from Chase Elliott. But at the moment, look at this momentum from the outside line. Derek Cope now side drafting side by side with the 24 car of Byron. Cope being the only Shepherd Racing Ventures car to make the 500. Their primary car, Landon Castle, did not make it. And Cope going for his second Daytona 500. Now the field back into groups of 3 wide for the top spot. Joey Logano trying to make it happen down on the bottom. That 24 car, though, is mighty strong, clearing the field once again, as well as Timmy Hill in the 66 car, down to the inside. The 66 car of Timmy Hill does have a Roush Yates engine for the 500, and they're definitely showing off that brand new equipment. Looks like a bit of a 4-wide move being made in the back, possibly between Allgaier and McDowell. I believe they might have diffused that already. Cope trying to push that 66 car of Timmy Hill out front. That inside line starting to build momentum as well. The 22 car of Logano is down there, as well as the 43 of Myatt Snyder. Logano actually held the lead for a brief moment, exiting 2. But look at that, the 84 car of Norm Benning giving that 24 a shove. Middle line starting to drop back. 24 cars once again cleared the field. Just like what I mentioned in the ride-along segment, that outside line momentum is definitely prevailing through the first 9 laps of the 500. Down the front stretch, here comes the 84 car of Norm Benning to the inside of Byron. Norm does not have very many friends in the middle line, but here comes Almirola to help. Now 2 Hendrick cars once again hooked up on the outside line. Benning down on the inside, getting some help from Eric Almirola. Side by side as now the 84 car goes up to side draft, potentially Logano going for a 4-wide move down the backstretch. When the 84 makes contact with the 24, Byron goes around. Sliding up in front of the pack. Into the field, the 95 goes upside down. 95 car of Harrison Burton goes over. Larson rolls off the banking, upside down as well. In the race back to the start-finish line is a close race for the top spot. And the nod goes to Eric Almirola. Almirola is your leader. Above the 88 car of Brad Keselowski, the 66 of Timmy Hill, the 51 of Cody Ware, and the 98 of Derek Cope. Quite a few upsets in the top 5. Down the backstretch, it looks like the 84 car of Benning goes up to side draft the 24 of Byron. Can't quite tell if that 24 car turned down just a little bit, but it was enough to get Benning to collide with the 24 car, sending that 24 off the front bumper of Benning, sliding through the grass. Then you see Benning cuts up in front of Magnussen. Magnussen managed to keep it together. Benning comes back up and gets clipped by the 57 car of Larson, the 77 of Haley up into the wall. Benning has severe damage, and there you see the 95 going upside down. Jimmy Johnson is well involved in this mess. 2 flips and a huge incident early in the Daytona 500. Here's a look of Byron's side of the incident. Comes back up in front of the field. The first car he hits is the 00 car of Suarez. Yaley just barely misses this incident. There you see the 95 go upside down. 16 car of Allmendinger almost went under the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. But Harrison Burton, baptism by fire in his first career Daytona 500, goes upside down in the 95 car for Levine Family Racing. And here is the onboard with William Byron. Just barely makes contact with the 84, gets sent around. Roof flaps come up, keeping the car on the ground. Back up in front of the field. And the big one erupts entering turn number 3. There you see the 95 going over. And Byron's car is still running. They might be able to get that 24 car repaired, but still significant damage on several fast cars in the 500. And you know what? Jimmy Johnson managed to drive through the mess with very little damage on that number 92 car. Johnson likely is still going to be in contention. And now all the lead lap cars hit pit road for the first pit stop of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series points season. First car out of the pits is Eric Almirola getting out in front of Cody Ware. Then Jamie McMurray, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Tyler Ankrum in his first Daytona 500. And the cars that are already out of today's race are Matt DiBenedetto, Kyle Larson, the runner-up in points last season, William Byron, who had a remarkably strong race car, leading the field, in fact, when he was turned. And the Xfinity Eliminator winner, Daniel Suarez, is out, as well as rookie Harrison Burton in the 95. And I think we have a bit of a disagreement over who should restart where. You see Chase Elliott and Josh Bilicki running side by side during the pace laps. I believe that they disagree over who should be restarting in 16th place. I wonder how NASCAR is going to handle this situation. Green flag. Just 7 laps to go in stage number 1. And as you can see near the back of the field, the 9 and 71 cars did not get their dispute solved. So I would imagine that at least one of those may get the black flag. Here comes the 51 car of Cody Ware down to the inside of Eric Almirola. Almirola has almost no help up on the outside line. A fellow Chevrolet goes with Cody Ware, that being the 25 McMurray, down to the inside now. McMurray has some help coming from the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, that being his teammate. Ware back up to the outside line to block the 10. Cody Ware is your leader at Daytona, driving for his father, Rick Ware, as now the 2010 Daytona 500 winner pulls up alongside, that being the 25 of McMurray. Up to side draft, almost made contact right there. Man, some aggressive side drafting going on. That's what caused the Byron incident between the 24 and 84. Now entering turn number 1. The 51 car still holds the advantage. 25 of McMurray being pushed by a teammate out front. Down the long back straightaway. Up to side draft, the number 51. Keeping it clean. Here comes the 26 down to the inside. Ankrum getting the push from Greg Biffle in the 69. And Tyler Ankrum easily clears the field with that push. The youngster in his first career Daytona 500 is now out front. Biffle all the way down on the bottom without help. 5 to go in stage 1. Ankrum now getting the push from the 51 of Cody Ware. Aggressive moves being made by the 47 car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Up on the outside line, it looks like the 26 car is going to get a great push down the back stretch. His McMurray goes up to side draft. Not very much help in the middle lane for the number 25 car. Still the 26 holding the top spot. The pack has now reformed. LaJoie thought about a 4-wide pass coming out of turn 4, not going to do it. Down to the start-finish line, the 51 and 26 cars still working very well together. Ankrum still out front. Entering turn 1, that 51 car Cody Ware as well trying to clear Jamie McMurray. The outside line rolling great momentum right now, although you see there the 47 car of Stenhouse backed out. That's going to let the 98 car of Derek Cope get up onto the outside line. As the hole opened up for the 98. Looks like McMurray might also be able to get up into the outside line. Here comes the 51 and the 10. Going 3 wide for the top spot through 3 and 4. Exiting turn number 4. The 10 car just barely holds the spot. Down to the start-finish line. It's going to be, I believe it was the 26 at the stripe. The nod has been given to Tyler Ankrum. Entering turn number 1. Not very much help for the 26 car of Ankrum, as it looks like Cody Ware trying to get up into the outside line. Now 4-wide move being made by Biffle. They make contact. They save it down the back stretch. What an incredible save as Greg Biffle rockets out to the race lead. 96 car of Herring trying to remerge. An incredibly dicey moment as the GMS cars keep it together. Biffle out front. Snyder running in second, Elliott in third. Down to the start-finish line. The 69 car of Biffle is your race leader. Running in second is Snyder. Here comes Corey LaJoie down to the inside. In the number 7 car for Spire Motorsports. LaJoie getting the run down the back straightaway, being pushed by the 53 of Chase Briscoe. But here comes Harvick down on the bottom, trying to split the 53 car. Harvick has 4 Fords down on the inside line. The 4, the 78, the 52, and the 22. As they now rocket out into the race lead, coming to the white flag in stage number 1. At the stripe, it was a little bit too close to call. Scoring gives it to Kevin Harvick. Harvick and Biffle battling for the top spot. That inside line is building incredible momentum, although they have less cars down there compared to the outside. Biffle looks like he might get it with a push coming from Snyder. Snyder pushing the 69 car out front. Now Biffle side by side with Corey LaJoie. The field fanning out for the last few spots. In stage number 1, Harvick getting the run down to the start-finish line. At the line, it will be a close race for the top spot. Greg Biffle wins stage number 1 in the Daytona 500. What a return to Cup Series competition, and a great run already for Gaunt Brothers Racing. Kevin Harvick in second, Corey LaJoie third, Myatt Snyder fourth, and B.J. McLeod in fifth. And just take a look at the aggression coming from the 69 car of Biffle. Forces the field 4 wide, exiting turn number 2. The 51 car makes contact with the 10, turning him up into the 26 car of Ankrum, up into the outside wall. There you see the 96 of Herring pulling off an incredible save. And the field kept it together with Greg Biffle shooting by down on the inside, taking the race lead and ultimately winning stage number 1. As you can tell, the Gaunt Brothers cars were actually working together down on the inside. That's Herring shoving Greg Biffle. When the 43 car cuts down, the 96 gets shoved out of the way and has to perform an incredible save as Biffle dips below the yellow line, which is legal, to advance his position and take the race lead. Same thing with the 43, 9, and 7 cars, as well as, to a lesser degree, the 96. Because those guys had to go down there just to avoid wrecking. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. And now Greg Biffle leads all of the lead lap cars down pit road. And the first car off pit road is the 53 car of Chase Briscoe, the runner-up in the 500 last season, getting out in front of Greg Biffle, Biffle's teammate Drew Herring, Kevin Harvick, and Corey LaJoie. And with a very slow pit stop, the 43 car of Myatt Snyder has lost an incredible amount of track position, but that is likely to repair the left side damage on the 43 sustained from slamming the 96 of Herring. Although Herring didn't get any damage repair and got off pit road in front of several cars that he was running behind. Herring got out in third spot, leapfrogging about 5 positions. We have had one more mechanical failure in the Daytona 500, that being the 41 car of Cole Custer. He is now out of the race as the pace car pulls off. Briscoe into the restart zone, and the green flag is out for stage number 2. 53 and 69 cars off to a great jump. Herring was a little slow on the restart. The Gaunt Brothers cars could not work in tandem, but already here comes Biffle down to the inside. Harvick now separating the 96 from any possibility of getting up to the back bumper of the 69. And here comes LaJoie. 3 wide down on the inside, although LaJoie does not have very much help. Biffle up to the outside line, giving the 53 car a bit of draft. Harvick now somewhat stuck in the middle, trying to get that SHR line, number 78 of McLeod, up to the back bumper. 69 car of Biffle is out front. The pack now starting to reform. Here comes the 53 car of Briscoe down to the inside. Side drafting, entering turn number 1. Exiting turn 2, the 4 car up to the back bumper of the 53. Briscoe has cleared the field, as now Brennan Poole trying to make it work by himself down on the bottom. 69 car up to push the 53. Briscoe's cleared the field. Now here comes Biffle down to the inside. Back and forth they go for the top spot. Biffle edging just barely ahead. The 53 car trying to pull him back using the side draft on the quarter panel. Down to the stripe, it is the 53 to lead lap number 26. Here comes Brennan Poole down on the inside, getting a push from McLeod. Now 3 wide for the top spot. The outside line losing organization. That 78 car giving the 30 a great shove down the backstretch on the bottom line. Biffle getting the run from the 4 car of Harvick. It looks like Biffle has cleared the outside line, jumps up in front of the 53 car, hoping for a push from Briscoe. As now Poole jumps to the middle line to work with Harvick. Down to the start-finish line. Once again, it is Biffle to lead the lap. McLeod trying to go 3 wide for the top spot. A little bit of rear-end damage on that 78. Much like what we saw in the Camping World Truck Series race, though, that might help him, because that knocked down that rear spoiler just a little bit, possibly streamlining the car. But it'll be a little bit risky to run by yourself like that. Be a little bit easier to spin the car out. As now the outside line has broken up once again. Here comes Poole up to side draft the 69 car, getting the shove from Harvick. As there you saw Derek Cope just jumped up to the outside line. Poole holds the top spot for just a moment, now being pushed out in front of the 69 by Harvick. Down to the start-finish line, that outside line starting to regain momentum. 30 car held it at the stripe. Poole being shoved by Kevin Harvick into turn number 1. Michael McDowell, the most recent Super Speedway winner, winning the Yellowwood 500 last season, now up into this inside line draft in the 34 car. Harvick trying to shove Brennan Poole out front. Down the backstretch, that 30 car moves up the racetrack to side draft. A little bit of contact gets made right there between Biffle and Poole. Talk about side drafting, that's practically just wrecking. As here comes Kevin Harvick trying to put that 30 car in the middle. Poole possibly could jump up to the outside line. Yes, he does. 2 Toyotas leading the top line. They're likely going to work together. Poole holds it at the stripe. Ford's in the middle, Toyota's on the outside. Here comes McDowell trying to make it work all the way on the bottom. McLeod going 4 wide for the top spot. Last time this didn't work. I don't know how much better it's going to go this time. And they just barely make contact down the back stretch. Here we come, the 4 car, trying to side draft the 30 and clear the 34 of McDowell. Now the 4 wide racing is in the second row. Harvick and Brennan Poole battle for the top spot. How long are they going to be able to race like this? There you see McLeod all the way down on the bottom. That 34 car trying to clear the 78. Looks like he has done it. Back down to groups of 3 wide racing. Harvick and Poole side by side for the top spot. The inside line is a little bit disorganized with that 34 car down on the inside. Harvick currently holding the advantage with a push coming from Brad Keselowski. Down the backstretch, though, that 30 car still holding strong. On Point Motorsports' first ever Cup Series start. Harvick just barely inches ahead of that 30 once again. Here comes the 34 of McDowell on the bottom. 78 car McLeod giving a great shove to the Front Row Motorsports number 34. At the line, it looks like it's going to be the 30 of Brennan Poole to lead the lap. Entering turn number 1, we're still going 3 wide for the top spot. The Toyota's still trying to work the outside. Now the Ford's on the bottom, with yet another Ford leading the middle lane, but there's Chevys behind. 3 wide down the back straightaway. Inside line starting to lose just a little bit of its momentum. Harvick once again has cleared the 34, but still side drafting the 30. And here comes McDowell right back up into the mix for the top spot. This is an incredibly competitive pack. Even knowing the field got whittled down just a little bit by the earlier crash, we still have 34 cars on the lead lap. Although there is some lap traffic up in front of the lead draft, that's certainly going to be a factor for these front runners, as now the 34 car getting shoved in front of Harvick by McLeod. Side by side for the top spot. Once again, that's Norm Benning up in front of the field. He had a very fast car to start the race. Unfortunately got involved in that incident after hooking the 24 car of Byron. The 30 has now cleared the field. The Toyota is still working the top lane. Biffle shoving the 30. Here comes Norm Benning. Have to make evasive action, as the inside line will benefit. Outside line gets entirely stalled by the 84 car. Michael McDowell is your race leader. McDowell has a very large lead above the second place runner, McLeod. That's certainly going to hurt him, as the pack's going to build a huge run on that 34. Here comes the Joy on the inside, with a push coming from the Tommy Baldwin Racing number 71 of Josh Bilicki. Now Bilicki takes a look down to the inside. He does not have any help on the bottom. LaJoy trying to block the outside line of McDowell, as the 20 car now trying to crowd that 34. Busher has gone down to help that number 71 of Bilicki. It's only going to work for so long, as not very well organized inside line. LaJoy is your leader at the stripe. McDowell running in second. Already trying to make the look down to the inside. Side drafted the left rear quarter panel, the 7. Not too much help down there for McLeod. Hoping to get a pusher as we now exit turn number 2. 4 wide move by Stenhouse. Mr. Excitement finally can take that nickname out of storage after Spencer's retirement. Still 4 wide racing going on between Busher, Reagan, the 20 of Brandon Jones, and the 25 of McMurray, as Corey LaJoy leads the field in the Daytona 500. That 7 car for Spire Motorsports, operating out of the old AK Racing shop. They are running that 7 in honor of Alan Kowicki. As now the field has gotten back down to groups of 3 wide. McDowell getting shoved out front by Bilicki. Reagan down on the inside, McDowell's teammate. A huge run for David Reagan, being pushed out front by Chris Busher in the number 17 for Roush Fenway Racing. Last year was a very quiet year for Roush. They're hoping to certainly make some noise in 2021. As there you see 2 Roush cars down on the inside line, those being Busher and Newman, fighting for the top few spots in the 500, as David Reagan now takes the race lead. Reagan up to the outside line, where most of the momentum has been built throughout the portion of today's race. 36 car currently holds the advantage above the 17 of Chris Busher. Busher being pushed by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a driver who is not afraid to lock bumpers. Down the backstretch, LaJoy hoping to shove David Reagan out front. Not only have the heat races allowed for more underfunded teams to make the Daytona 500 and less well-funded cars in today's event, including Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., all those guys didn't even make the race. But now after that early big one, we're looking very well set up for an upset Daytona 500 winner, as David Reagan has a very great separation above the field. Second place being held by Corey LaJoy, and third by B.J. McLeod, with just less than 3 to go in stage 2, as here comes LaJoy to the inside. Also following LaJoy is the 4 car of Harvick. You saw that huge run that they built on the 36. That's because Reagan had too big of a lead on the field. 7 car up to side draft the 36. Got to be careful doing this. I mean, the big one earlier in today's race was started by a mistake side drafting, as now the 7 car is out front. Harvick with barely any help in the middle. That is McDowell on the bottom. We got a couple cars hitting pit road, trying to short pit for the end of stage number 2 as David Reagan shoots out front. LaJoie trying to side draft the 36 car of Reagan. And McLeod trying to push the 36. Lap traffic is up in front of the race leaders. Wonder how that's going to be a factor as we now reach the closing of stage number 2. Down the backstretch, that 36 car has the clear advantage. The 78 of McLeod up into second, clearing the field as well. 2 Fords leading the Daytona 500. Likely a couple more cars trying to short pit this time by. We have the 17 and a few others coming down. White flag is out in stage number 2. David Reagan is your race leader. 78 car in second. These guys have to be close on their fuel. Several cars up in front of them that are almost 1 lap down, as well as Kurt Busch, who just came off pit road. Down the backstretch, the leaders cut down to the inside of the lap traffic. Here comes Kevin Harvick with a huge head of steam. Side drafts the 36 car of Reagan. Reagan has to check up for the lap car of Ty Dillon. Down on the inside line, Kevin Harvick exiting turn number 4. Looks like he is going to win stage number 2 in the Daytona 500. B.J. McLeod in second as the field has to check up for the slowing number 96 car of Drew Herring. A very dicey moment after the green-white checkered flag. Corey LaJoie finished the stage in third. Then Brandon Jones fourth and David Reagan in fifth. Lap traffic played a very crucial factor in the ending of stage 2. NASCAR on Speed Station is being brought to you by RFJ, the official home of the RFJ AI series. By Knife Friend 725, the brains behind Project Retroval. And by Anthony's Online Simulation League. And take a look at this. We have a bit of a mess coming down pit road as a lot of cars are trying to coast their way down the pits because they are out of gas. Interesting situation, coasting down pit road, going 3 wide at only about 20 miles an hour. And the first car off pit road was actually Kevin Harvick, getting out by a massive margin above B.J. McLeod. The 7 car of Corey LaJoie, then Brandon Jones and David Reagan. As you see, Quinn Half has stalled up on the high banks entering turn number 1 because he is out of gas. There's no way that 40 car is going to be able to coast back. Well, we had a few cars that fell 1 lap down because short pitting did not work out in their favor. Those being Chris Buescher, Kurt Busch, Cody Ware, and Tyler Ankrum. Those were the few cars that came down pit road hoping that they could get out in front of the cars that had to pit after the stage caution fell. But unfortunately for them, Harvick was able to put them 1 lap down before the stage caution came out. So they are now trapped a lap behind the leader unless they can somehow pass the leader and get another caution. And with less than half of the 63rd annual running of the Daytona 500 left, we have 24 cars on the lead lap and in contention for the race win. The last car on the lead lap is 7-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson in the number 92 for Chip Ganassi Racing. And now the pace car hits pit road. Harvick up into the Geico restart zone, and the green flag is out for the final stage in the Daytona 500. 2 Stewart Haas Racing Fords leading the field with the 4 car of Harvick and the 78 of B.J. McLeod. Entering turn number 1, the field's starting to get back up to speed. Here comes the 7 of LaJoie down on the bottom. LaJoie side drafting that 78 car of McLeod as the pack trying to reform down the backstretch. LaJoie does not have very much help. Here comes the 36 car, but he tries to split him. Reagan all the way down to the bottom. Reagan with next to no help. Here comes LaJoie up to the outside line as we have a couple cars down pit road. The 78, 20, 7, and 36 cars all hit pit road, hoping to make it to the end of the race with a quick pit stop. And look at this lead that Kevin Harvick has. The pack's going to build a gigantic run on the race leader. The pack currently being led by Jamie McMurray in the number 25 car. As here comes Logano down to the inside in the 22 to side draft. Here comes Stenhouse trying to get up to the back bumper of the 22. Elliott up to push the 25. Two Hendrick cars up on the outside line to push the 25. Stenhouse making nearly contact with the 22 car. Logano had to catch it, exiting turn number 4. Stenhouse giving Logano the push. Joey Logano is your race leader at the start-finish line. Here comes Greg Biffle. Back on the bottom, getting a push from a fellow Toyota, that being the 09 of Stephen Parsons. Only one Joe Gibbs racing car made today's race, so all the, I guess you could say, underfunded Toyotas have been working together throughout the entirety of today's race, and it has been working out phenomenally, with Biffle winning stage number 1. There you see Jimmy Johnson losing the lead draft in the 92 car. 69 still being pushed down on the inside line. There you see Derek Culp down there as well. The last car on the inside line. 69 car just barely ahead of the 47. Down to the start-finish line, outside line, building a lot of momentum. It was Logano still to lead. Lap traffic up in front of the leaders. Those being the cars that just came down pit road. There is McLeod up in front of Logano. Joey Logano has cleared the field for the moment. He has a fellow Ford up on the outside line, that being Kevin Harvick. Logano has to go somewhere to avoid the 78 car of McLeod. Outside line looks like it's going to be blocked right here as Logano and Harvick shoot by down on the inside. McMurray stuck behind the 78. Now we all know McLeod's car is fast, but because it's just coming back up to speed, it has definitely slowed up the outside line. Biffle cuts down to the bottom, but has almost no help. Stephen Parsons jumps up to the outside line of the 69. 4 and 22 cars side by side for the top spot. Harvick taking it into turn number 1. Here comes the 09 on the bottom. Almost contact right there between the 53 and 47. As now Parsons trying to make it work, side drafting the 4 with almost no drafting help behind. Here comes Stenhouse down to the inside line. Stenhouse is not really playing with fellow manufacturers. As he cuts down to the bottom, Logano going to be stalled up by the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up into second. Stenhouse taking no prisoners so far. Up into second place, jumps up to the outside line with a fellow Chevrolet of Corey LaJoie, building that run on Harvick. 4 wide move being made by Justin Allgaier. That's actually the 3rd time he's done this today. Currently the 4 car of Harvick holding the top spot down the backstretch, being pushed by the 47 car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 09 car of Stephen Parsons in the middle lane. Inside line is not very well organized. There's 2 Rick Ware cars in between the 2 Gaunt brothers cars. Harvick and Stenhouse clear the field. At the stripe, it is Kevin Harvick by a very clear margin. Lap traffic up in front of the leaders as here comes Stenhouse to the bottom, side drafting the 4. Stenhouse not with very much drafting help down on the bottom line. Hoping to get some from Stephen Parsons as LaJoie shoving that 4 car out front. Corey LaJoie up into second, getting a big push from the 22, now cuts down to the inside. Outside line's not very well formed. Harvick is not going to have very much drafting help, and neither is LaJoie. Here comes the lap traffic up into view, those being the 20 of Jones and the 36 of Reagan. 22 car back up to the back bumper of the 4. Harvick easily re-clears the field. Kevin Harvick trying to win his second Daytona 500, but so is Joey Logano as the 22 car cuts down to the bottom. Biffle thinking about potentially a 4 wide move back down to 3 wide. As Biffle was taking a look down to the inside of the 09, here comes Harvick to the bottom of the lap traffic. Looks like he's going to yet again get a very large lead. As now the lap car of B.J. McLeod up to the bumper of Harvick to try and help. Stephen Parsons down on the inside going for second. Parsons with almost no drafting help. Harvick has now been abandoned as well. McLeod trying to get his lap back. And Logano going for the race lead. Another lap car up in front of the field. That is Quinn Half in the 40. Completely stalls out the outside line. Parsons now out front. Stephen Parsons is now your leader in the Daytona 500. Currently, here comes the 69 car. Down to the inside. Biffle and Parsons side by side. In line behind Biffle is the 52 car of J.J. Yaley. Remember, the 51 is one lap down. At the stripe, it is Parsons to lead the lap. The field's still spreading out due to lap traffic. Entering turn number 1, that 47 car is still hooked up with the 09. As now Logano jumps down to the middle lane. Stenhouse side by side with Parsons down the backstretch for the top spot. The pack now starting to reform as the 98 and 88 cars back up into the lead draft. There you see Josh Bilicki in the 71 running up near the top 5. 47 car of Stenhouse being shoved out front by Logano. Joey Logano already trying to force a move on that 47. Close 3 wide racing for the top spot. At the line, it was the 47. Down on the inside line, here comes the 22 of Logano. Parsons still trying to control that outside line, but his 2 pushers up on the top are lap cars. 47 car of Stenhouse still going up to side draft that 09. Inside line is losing momentum with Logano and Yaley down there. Stenhouse looks like he might have the opportunity to clear the field right here. And it looks like he's done it. Stenhouse is out front. To the stripe, it is going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to lead lap number 55. Here comes Logano with a large push coming from Yaley. Joey Logano is now out front. Can't quite clear the middle and outside lines. So still they're going to be building large amounts of momentum down the backstretch. Derek Cope trying to run through the middle, pushing Greg Biffle. Stenhouse losing time up on the top. Biffle is back out front. Logano holding the advantage by just a fender now. As now Logano jumps up into the middle lane. At the line, it was Biffle to lead the lap. That 69 car has been strong all day. Here comes J.J. Yaley. Down on the inside line, getting pushed by Brad Keselowski. And what an upset this would be. Yaley, whose best career finish came back in 2007 of second, still chasing his first career Cup Series win. Down the backstretch, the 22, 69, and 52 cars run side by side for the top spot. Derek Cope trying to shove that 22 car, exiting turn number 4. Biffle now dropping back. Yaley and Logano battling for the top spot. Down to the line. Outside line starting to build momentum. It was Logano to lead the lap. Here comes Biffle back to the outside. That middle line starting to lose a little bit of momentum. Down on the inside line, Yaley being pushed out front by the 88. The pushes are getting even more aggressive as we reach the end of the Daytona 500. Lap car up in front of the field. 69 getting a push. Inside line starting to lose just a little bit of organization. Derek Cope still aggressively shoving that 22 car. The lap car up in front of the field is Jan Magnussen. 52 and 22 still side by side. Coming to the line. This time by, it was almost too close to call. Scoring gives it to Greg Biffle. Entering turn number 1, the top 3 cars are practically matched right now in speed. 52 still trying to be pushed out front. Lap car up in front of the field. Where will the outside lines go? Biffle looks like he's going to be stalled out by Magnussen. Same thing for Joey Logano. Yaley rockets out front. Yaley and Keselowski. Now your top 2 as Yaley comes down pit road. Same thing with Drew Herring. Short pitting the field. Keselowski now out front. 42 car of Justin Allgaier running in second. Allgaier getting the push from the 10 car of Almirola. Here comes the 10 down to the inside. They're going to have an easy run on the 88 car of Keselowski. Allgaier gets in line behind the 88. Another lap car up in front of the field. That is the 84 of Norm Benning. The field trying to split this final stage in half by pitting on lap number 60 or 61. You could stretch it about a lap or 2 farther from here. Here comes the field on the inside of the lap traffic. Ankrum, his GMS teammate McMurray, the 43, and one other car hit pit road. Keselowski still out front, the 2019 winner of the 500. There was a very close moment right there between Benning and Logano. But they managed to keep it together. These front runners ought to be fairly close on gas. Top 3 running single file down the backstretch, those being Keselowski, Allgaier, and Eric Almirola. Farther back, we have the 34 car of Michael McDowell leading the pack. Almirola down to the inside of Allgaier, going for second. Here comes most of the leaders down pit road as they wreck in the back. 71 car gets pit maneuvered by Magnussen. Caution flag is out, and these front runners have pitted with pit road being closed. That's going to be a black flag for all of those front runners. They're going to have to come down pit road for a second time. Justin Allgaier is currently a race leader above the 22 car of Joey Logano. The rest of the leaders are currently on pit road. I believe Jimmy Johnson might have stayed out. Currently, we really don't know who goes where because the caution flag fell in the middle of the pit cycle. But of the cars that had to come off pit road, it is Keselowski getting out in front of McDowell, Briscoe, Newman, and Almirola, although these guys will have to come back down pit road because they got service while pit road was closed. And now, under caution, looks like the 42 has ran out of gas. Your race leader is out. Same with the second place runner of Logano. There's a 66 car going full speed, getting a lap back. As your top 2 cars coast it down pit road. This is awfully confusing right now. I stand corrected on the Jimmy Johnson situation. He is, in fact, 1 lap down. And there you see Quinn Half make contact with the 22 car of Logano, who is out of gas. Logano now with severe rear-end damage, and that car is stalled. They have to push that thing back onto pit road. The 42 made it down, though. Coasted it in. So currently scoring has 19 cars on the lead lap, with the 88 car of Brad Keselowski, a race leader above Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Newman, and Eric Almirola. So the race has completely changed due to pit strategy. The 4 car of Harvick, by the way, is still on the lead lap. And we saw how fast that 4 car was over the course of the first 2 stages. So here comes the 71 car of Bilicki coming onto pit road. The 36 checks up. The 33 car of Magnussen had nowhere to go and makes contact with the 71, sending Josh Bilicki around and up into Harvick. Then that sends Harvick into the 33 of Magnussen. Magnussen just barely hangs onto it, but that is why we are under caution. And Jan Magnussen is now officially out of the race after a second incident. And there's the rear-end damage on the number 22 car of Joey Logano that was given to him by the 40 car of Quinn Half. So that 22 car is certainly going to be off the pace on this restart. Believe it or not, though, Team Penske's number 22 pit crew actually got Logano's car repaired fast enough, that 22 car is still on the lead lap. So if we get another incident, he could be right back in the top 10. We still have 33 cars running in the Great American Race, and we'll restart with just 15 laps to go. And by the way, just a reminder, 33 cars is the entire running field of the Indianapolis 500. And with just 15 laps to go in our biggest race of the year, we have a full Indy 500 field size going for the victory. However, we do only have just 19 cars on the lead lap. But for another comparison to an IndyCar series, that's about 2.5 times the Indy Lights field. The pace car ducks off onto pit road. Keselowski up into the Geico restart zone. And the green flag is out. Everyone is good on fuel, and this is going to be a mad dash to determine the race winner of the Daytona 500. Here comes Chase Briscoe down to the inside. Briscoe getting a little bit of help coming from the 10 car of Almirola. Briscoe already up side by side with the 88 car of Keselowski. Briscoe does not have very much help on the bottom, already trying to side draft that 88 car. Looks like he's going to be pushed out front by the 34 of McDowell. Ryan Newman up into the mix, running in 4th spot in the 6 car. We got a couple cars that are a lap down up in this mix, including Ankrum and Cody Ware, but they will be factors in the finish of today's race. Down to the stripe. Here comes the 34 car of McDowell on the inside, trying to go 2 in a row on the super speedways. McDowell getting a great push coming from the 53 of Chase Briscoe, but here comes Briscoe to the bottom, trying to put that number 34 car through the middle. Newman going to be able to shove that 88 car of Keselowski down the backstretch. Here comes Greg Biffle up to push the 53, entering turn number 3. I feel like Keselowski's a bit of a sitting duck right now as the 4 car goes 4 wide on the bottom. Aggressive moves being made in the closing laps. Here comes Biffle down on the inside, being pushed by Stenhouse at the line. It was Brad Keselowski to lead the lap. Yaley now going 4 wide as Chase Elliott gets turned. LaJoie up into the wall. Yellow flag is back out. Biffle now out front. Stenhouse into second. Stenhouse being pushed by Derek Cope. 53 car being put in the middle by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The yellow flag is currently waving as we race back to the start-finish line. Cope shoving that 47 car out front. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. moving up to block Greg Biffle. Close race back to the start-finish line. And it is too close to call at the stripe. Scoring gives it to Stenhouse. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is your race leader, above Greg Biffle, Derek Cope, Brad Keselowski, and Chase Briscoe. This race is really going to heat up now. We are going to have a restart with less than 10 laps to go. Well, 4 wide just did not work. Chase Elliott cuts down on the number 52 of Yaley, who had a huge run on the 9 car of Elliott. Sends the 9 around. He fortunately misses everything. The 7 car gets up into the 1 car of Kurt Busch. Heavy rear end damage on the 1, as he also rode the outside wall for the greater portion of turns 1 and 2, but Elliott almost undamaged. Let's go on board with J.J. Yaley. See a huge run right here in the draft. Chase Elliott cuts down, and Yaley had nowhere to go up into the 7. 7 car gets up into the 1. Yaley, though, with almost no damage, and you really can't blame him for trying to make something out of that run he was getting from the 4. Oh, and look at this under the cool-down. Kevin Harvick brake checks the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. With almost 10 laps to go in the Daytona 500, he brake checks our race leader. That's certainly not going to be a popular move. And we have 2 cars coming down pit road. Those are the 2 who both went up hard into the outside wall. Corey LaJoie and Kurt Busch duck onto pit road, probably just for damage repair. There you can see severe right side damage on the 7. Pretty significant right, left, and rear end damage on the 1 car of Kurt Busch. The pace car hits pit road. Stenhouse leading the field down to the restart zone. And the green flag is out with just 8 laps to go in the Daytona 500. Your race leader, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., has that front end damage from that checkup incident with Kevin Harvick. I wonder how that's going to affect his aerodynamics. As now Greg Biffle, the Stage 1 winner, dives down to the inside. Biffle's going to have some help coming from the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. The 47 stalling out. The 98 of Derek Cope. Greg Biffle cuts up in front of the outside line. As that 47 is dropping back, here comes Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. Keselowski getting pushed out front by that 4 car. Harvick trying to make a move down to the inside. 88 car is back out front. J.J. Yaley onto pit road. At the line, it was Keselowski to lead the lap. Brad Keselowski trying to win his 2nd career Daytona 500 and 2nd in the last 3 years. As now that 34 car hooked up with the 4 car exiting turn number 2. Ford's in the middle and a Chevrolet and Toyota up on the outside line. That damage on the 4 might just be helping him a little bit. Once again, that spoiler's knocked down. 2 Toyotas down on the inside line. Here come Brennan Poole and Drew Herring racing up to the front row. Harvick still side drafting Brad Keselowski. And a huge run coming from Brennan Poole down on the bottom. Poole getting shoved by Drew Herring. Where did this momentum come from? Poole is now out front just for the moment. The Toyotas have separated on the bottom. Inside line now fully formed. Side by side down the backstretch goes Keselowski, Poole, and Herring. Keselowski getting the shove from Greg Biffle. Looks like he might clear the field once again. 88 car trying to defend practically every single lane. I believe there is some lap traffic up in front of the race leaders. 96 working with the 71 down on the bottom. 88 and 69 cars still working together. Lap car of J.J. Yaley up in front of the field. Yaley is certainly going to be a factor in the finish of today's race, as now Biffle trying to clear the field up on the outside line. Most likely hoping to cut down to the bottom to work with his teammate Drew Herring. Trying to push that 88 car so that Biffle can clear the middle lane of Brennan Poole. And he can't quite do it. Up on the outside line, that 88 car still defending the lanes. Poole and Herring in the middle and bottom lines. Here comes J.J. Yaley in the lap car. Up in front of the field, here comes Greg Biffle, jumping down to the bottom, using Yaley as a pick. Biffle out to the race lead, hoping to get help from his teammate. But Herring has other ideas. Drew Herring out front. Josh Bilicki into second. David Reagan into third. We're getting set up for an incredible finish. Down the backstretch, the 71 and 96 side by side. Bilicki out front. That 36 car was actually 1 lap down, and I believe so is the 43. No, 43 is on the lead lap. He just made up that many positions in 1 lap. At the start-finish line, scoring gives it to the 43. He went from 13th to the lead in 1 lap. But keep in mind that David Reagan is in fact 1 lap down. But the rest of these front runners, for the most part, are on the lead lap. Outside line being led by the lap car of David Reagan as Myatt Snyder and Stephen Parsons battle for the top spot. Bilicki making it work up on the outside. Bilicki has a bit of an advantage being able to draft off the lap car of David Reagan, but for the moment that 09 car of Stephen Parsons has cleared the field. Coming back to the start-finish line, just 2 laps to go in the Daytona 500. At the line, it was Parsons. Michael McDowell certainly planning a move in that number 34 car. He's a smart superspeedway racer. That's how he got to victory lane in the Yellowwood 500. Parsons and Bilicki still side by side. Here comes McDowell to the bottom. No lap traffic in sight up in front of the leaders, with the exception of David Reagan, who appears to be tugging that outside line along. Josh Bilicki out front. Inside line, losing momentum. Here comes the middle lane of Stephen Parsons up to side draft. White flag is in the air. 2.5 miles left for Josh Bilicki, being side drafted by Stephen Parsons. Parsons cutting down to the inside, getting help from that 43 car. The Gaunt Brothers cars are in line behind the Tommy Baldwin Racing number 71. Down the backstretch for the final time. That 36 is certainly going to help the 71. Middle lane is losing organization. 09 car, though, still with the quarter panel on the 71. Not very much help down on the bottom. It's going to be Parsons and Bilicki side by side for the Daytona 500. Bilicki has help. And it's going to be Josh Bilicki to win the Daytona 500 for Tommy Baldwin Racing. How about this for an upset? This team has missed the last 2 Daytona 500s with Ryan Truex and has now won it. An incredible performance by Josh Bilicki in the number 71 car. I tell you what, winning the Great American Race, they might have the funding to make the full season now. What a finish. Bilicki is your Daytona 500 winner. The Gaunt Brothers cars finished 3rd and 4th. It was a close race back to the line between the 09 and 71, but Bilicki has done it. Coming down pit road for the lug nut check, but I wonder what his burnout's going to look like. First one in a national series. And I almost don't believe it. Josh Bilicki has won the Daytona 500 by 51,000ths of a second above Stephen Parsons. This is a bigger upset than Trevor Bayne. This team has a driver that has never won a National Series event. And their team alone has also never won a National Series event. They thought they could win the 2012 Daytona 500 if it got canceled. You recall Dave Blaney led for 48 hours? But they have gotten to victory lane as a team. Bilicki, first victory as a driver, and it comes at NASCAR's biggest event, the Daytona 500. And Bilicki, if he can stay in the top 30 in points, is in the playoffs. Incredible performance for Tommy Baldwin Racing. Bilicki wins it above Stephen Parsons, Drew Herring, Greg Biffle, making a fantastic return to Cup Series competition. Myatt Snyder, Brad Keselowski, who got steamrolled there at the end. Brennan Poole, Jamie McMurray with a great return to Cup Series competition in 8th. Harvick in 9th with some of that rear-end damage. McDowell in 10th. Chase Elliott rallied from being spun late in the going to finish 11th. Stenhouse dropped down to 13th with that front-end damage. And Derek Cope in what might be his final 500 in 17th. And Jimmy Johnson in what most likely will be his final Daytona 500 finishes in 27th position. You know, folks, let's not forget that Josh Bilicki was actually turned around by Jan Magnussen with just about 20 laps to go. So that means that Bilicki has actually performed the spin and win in the Daytona 500. So in your regular season point standings, Bilicki is your point leader by 5 points above Stephen Parsons with his win. Bilicki only led 2 laps, by the way, but he led the 2 most important ones. Parsons second in points, Herring third, Biffle fourth, Snyder, Keselowski, Poole, McMurray, Harvick, and McDowell round out your top 10. Obviously, it's more or less just their finishing positions in the race because we've only had one race on the season. And similar situation in your playoff standings. However, Josh Bilicki is locked into the playoffs. If he can stay in the top 30 in points, he will be contending for a championship at Darlington. Absolutely incredible performance by Tommy Baldwin Racing. Obviously, Parsons, Herring, Biffle, so on behind. The drivers that are really close to the cutoff line already, even though it's only been one race, are Stenhouse, Briscoe, Amaral, and Logano. The drivers on the outside looking in are Cope, Newman, Reagan, and Yaley. Now, Cope and Reagan aren't even going to run the full season. But after Bilicki winning the Daytona 500 and Parsons finishing second and winning a heat race, they might need to reconsider just running a couple races. They might need to run more like half the season. And also Greg Biffle, with a stage win in his heat race and a stage win in the Daytona 500, you might be able to expect him running for Gaunt Brothers a few more times throughout the course of this season. And from all of us here at the Speed Station, there's Josh Bilicki's Burnout. We hope that you have enjoyed the 63rd annual running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, from Daytona International Speedway. The next time you'll be seeing us is for the Next Era Energy 400 from Palm Beach International Raceway. We're doing road course racing. By the way, we have a forecast of rain for that race, so we might be running the wet weather tires. We'll see. Could be the first Cup Series race in the rain. And we are finally getting out of Daytona and breaking in to the regular season.